Hello everybody, my name's Star Raptor. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for Marvel's Luke Cage. This is on Netflix and it stars Mike Colter as Luke Cage, but a lot of you probably don't even know who the character of Luke Cage even is. So basically Luke Cage was created decades ago and he's also known as Power Man, and his abilities are basically he can't take damage from anything. He's indestructible, bullets bounce off him, as well as he has super strength. He can lift cars, everything else. He's basically like a mini Hulk, really, but he doesn't go crazy. So what is this season about? So basically this goes into his backstory, how he got his powers, and it actually explores him on a personal level, him living in Harlem, trying to basically keep to himself. He's on the run from the cops. He had this other dark past, so he's kind of keeping a low profile. But then there's a tragedy that happens that involves these criminal organizations in the area, and he gets brought into this conflict, and it ends up becoming something much larger than himself. So that's basically the story in a nutshell. Okay, so Luke Cage includes a very strong cast of characters such as Mariah, who is the councilwoman in Harlem, who, along with Cottonmouth, which is the head of this criminal organization, are kind of moving the pieces around for these criminals. Then we have Misty Knight, who is the cop that is kind of working against Luke Cage, but then kind of knows that he's innocent. And then we have Claire Temple, who might ring a bell because she's been in every single season of a Netflix series so far. She's that soul connecting tissue, which is moving in between all the different shows. But it's just not her. There's a couple other characters who you might remember from some of the other seasons, so that's what I really enjoy about these Netflix series. So, getting into my positives for Luke Cage, I first want to talk about the villain of Cottonmouth. Now, this is a character that reminds me a lot of the character Stringer Bell from The Wire. He is this character that basically is controlling things from afar. You know, he's pulling the strings of all these different people, and he even has one of the councilwomen in his back pocket to kind of push his agenda forward, who happens to be his cousin. So it's there, there's a lot of different moving parts in this criminal organization, and this guy is sort of like the kingpin, I guess you could say. He's a high, wealthy person, but he's funneling his money, and he's doing illegal things, but he's in the public eye, and they can't really do anything about him. So I thought he was a pretty deep character, and I really enjoyed him. Speaking of Harlem, though, I really want to take some time to talk about Harlem, because this is a great location. It's almost like its own character itself. We got the music, from the jazz, the hip-hop, the soul music playing throughout, and, just the characters, the lingo they're using. It really feels a whole lot different than Daredevil and Jessica Jones that were based in Hell's Kitchen. Another thing I really enjoyed was that this seemed like it was more grounded in reality than the other Netflix series, even though we're dealing with a human that has abilities to basically punch through walls and absorb bullets. These criminal organizations really felt like something, like I mentioned before, like The Wire, but in a Marvel universe. That was really interesting. And also, I like how they were dealing with Cage in the beginning of this series. Basically, they can't kill this guy. They shot him 100 times, and the bullets are just ricocheting off of him. So they got to deal with something else. So they start framing Luke Cage to basically be hated by everyone in the public's eye, so he eventually has to just leave the place, because there's no way he could stand these people constantly criticizing him. So they're trying to hurt him on an emotional level, being they can't physically hurt him. So this brings me into my negatives, and I want to say the second half of the season was kind of a letdown as far as the weakness of Luke Cage was concerned. They used some sort of weapon against him. I wish they could have just kept playing around with the idea of, the bad people hurting the ones he loves and making opinions of the public go against him. Another thing was the villain's costume at the very end was just absolutely stupid looking, and it looked like something from like a B 70s science fiction movie, and it totally took me out of the experience. And just the fact that this villain had the abilities that he had without them really explaining it and how he got that stuff, it was just a little strange to me. It kind of took me out. Okay, so the ending I didn't really enjoy. I feel like there wasn't enough closure for some of the characters in this. It just felt like it was not the best way they could have gone. Something else I want to mention that was a negative was I didn't feel like there was much of a risk for any of these characters. I felt like they weren't really in danger. And finally, I want to just say, like, the beginning of this season, I was on board 100%, and I was paying so much attention. But then toward the end of the season, I started to fall off, and some parts were dragging too much for me. I didn't want to pay as much attention. It just seemed a little slower than what I'm used to seeing from a Netflix series. So, with the negatives being said, I'm going to give Luke Cage a score of an 8 out of 10. I did enjoy this show a lot. I didn't enjoy it as much as Daredevil Season 2, but this is definitely up there with the rest of the series. Netflix has not disappointed us yet. They have consistently put out great television that is just super compelling. And I'm really interested to see how Luke Cage is going to fit in with the stories of the Defenders, which will be coming out hopefully in 2017. But that's going to do it for my review of Marvel's Luke Cage. What did you guys think of Luke Cage? Let me know in that comment section below. Also, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at StarRaptor. Guys, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss another one of my videos. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye. Did you enjoy this video? Then make sure you go ahead and hit that thumbs up symbol. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Subscribing to my channel will help me out, and it helps you guys out, keeping up to speed on all my latest content. Speaking of which, you can catch my weekly Star Wars show down over there. You can see a recent review I've done over there, and you can follow me on social media, Twitter @StarRaptor, as well as Facebook.com/StarRaptor.